What is going on, everybody? I'm sure you all join me, especially if you're from America, on quite the scary night, as obviously tonight in the United Kingdom, obviously it's the daytime in the United States, is the election day. So I would be terrified to be you either way, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, it's a quite a busy day, but yeah, we're just going to be having a quick look at Hyliion stock once again and seeing why it has been crashing. So I've got quite a few articles to just go over. We're going to be looking at a few things tonight, just a really quick update on the stock for the time being. Then obviously after the election does go through, whether it is Trump or Biden that wins, we're just going to have a quick analysis of a few of the stocks actually and see which ones may or may not do well under the new administration, or actually the existing administration if it is Donald Trump that wins. Anyway, if that does sound good, please do subscribe and like the video. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're more than halfway there now, and honestly, we are actually flying up that subscriber count for such a small channel. We've been about for like 6 months. We're almost on, almost 1,000 now. We're just over halfway there. So please do help us out by subscribing. We also have a Discord out now, so come and join us on Discord. We've got about 25 plus members now, I think. It's a very small community, but it is growing, so feel free to come and join. The link is in the description, and it is completely free. Anyway, so on the one day, surprisingly, like I said, it is election day, so it is quite surprising that the share price is actually going up a little bit so far. So if we can see, we started off today on 1888, finishing off so far on about 2048. So we made about $2, not bad at all. That's looking to about a 9.05% gain according to Google. Anyway, on the start of the week, we started off on 2050. Obviously, that's only a few cents off what we're sat on right now. The price is changing right now because, like I said, quite a volatile day. But yeah, we saw dips all the way down to about 1830, maybe even a bit less, 1820 here. And I would say that is a low point. But yeah, we can see since about the 3rd of November today, since market open, we are actually looking at a increase, quite a significant one at that. And of course, that is actually looking to be kind of a bounce back from, the huge sell-off, which we have seen from over $50, I believe it was, at the start of the 6-month period. So if we have a look up here, we were looking at over $50 in share price. But yeah, you can see that we basically plummeted all the way down to, like I said, about $18, a bit lower even. But when we have a quick look, it looks like we could be spiking up. And I think a lot of this will depend on who gets in on the election, whether you are a fan of Trump or Biden. It's just going to be hard to say. But yeah, that is just one of the few factors, and of course that is going to play an effect into the next few weeks. But looking into a longer term period, let's have a quick look into the company, what the company does. And I know that we talk about this a bit, but I have found an article which I find kind of interesting. And of course I'm going to tell you what the article is called, so credit to them. But yeah, we're just going to be diving into that in a minute. But just to, jog your mind back, if we have a quick look here, we can just see what Hyliion does. It's a truck manufacturing company. They do actually do powertrains, so mainly at the minute they are focusing on powertrains. Somebody in a later video, or early video, commented that they don't actually make trucks. Well, at the minute that is technically true. I think it's 2021 or maybe even 2022 that this truck is coming out by them. It's their own made truck and it's called the Hypertruck ERX. So yes, they are going to start making their own trucks, but basically at the minute, if you have a quick look, they do electrified and hybrid powertrains, and of course that's intending to, replace the traditional diesel or natural gas fuel powertrains. So it's very interesting how they do this. You can actually retrofit a Class 8 truck, so that is actually, in my opinion, a very, very cool feature to have. So that is one of the reasons why this is a great company potentially. But let's have a quick look at this article here. This is from investorplace.com. I was going to say Palace, but it's Place. And this is just talking about Hyliion stock might shoot to the moon, but it could also crash to the earth. And yes, I am a fan of Hyliion. I think a lot of these companies, by principle, obviously we saw with Nikola, not always in reality, but by principle at least, they have good intentions. And, the business model has potential to, increase massively. But we do also need to keep it realistic. And with any investment that can just shoot up 700% in a year, we need to be prepared if that does not happen. So yeah, like I said, this article does really just go over a few of those reasons. Feel free to go check it out. You saw the title, and if you want to just read through it by pausing the video as I go, feel free to. But we are going to be focusing on the main segments, which are these little subheadings, and I'm just going to be summarizing them with the actual given summaries down here. So it's just it's apparently potentially another hot 2020 SPAC. So we're not going to read the whole thing, that's going to take too long, but if we have a quick look at the bottom, not all will become the next $50 billion automaker, and of course that is obvious. This is one of those companies that is starting up, and if we have a look down there, it says it's in the US alone, it's one of the bigger companies in comparison. It's got to fight against other established manufacturers such as Ford and General Motors, and of course Ford and General Motors have such a big market share. It's really just a hard fight, and it's not the case of they can't do it, but it is something to consider. And of course, I actually do have electric vehicle manufacturers like Tesla and Rivian to compete against as well. And if you do follow the channel a lot, you will see we cover so many electric vehicle stocks, and electric vehicles really are starting to pop off now. And of course, with new technology coming along, which is the electricity itself for the vehicles, we're seeing companies like ChargePoint, we're seeing things like NIO and XPeng Motors. These companies are all in with a potential of grabbing some of this market share. So yes, now is the best time to get in for a company like this, to get into the market space, as they have the potential to establish their brand as something completely new, but it isn't guaranteed to work. Of course, especially nowadays when there's so many different brands and so much diversification, it's not always possible to win. And of course, this is why it's talked about the SPAC, or as it says here, SPACE space is not big enough for all of us. And this is just really going on what I just said just a moment ago, in the sense that there are not enough companies, in the sense that, they're all not that big. So yes, there are a lot of companies, but they're not all that big. There's only a few, if you think about it. Look at the NASDAQ, for example. It's the top companies that are weighting most of that index, and the same can be said for a lot of industries, and auto manufacturing is probably not one of those that's any different to, tech, for example, because, of course, the big manufacturers like the Fords and the Teslas are up there right at the top, and a company like this starting off needs to work on growing. So it is going to be hard for them to do, and they may get squeezed out of this, but if they do manage to climb up through the ranks, if you will, it could potentially work. So yeah, looking at the stock itself, what about Hyliion stock? So basically, its financials also look to be one of Silicon Valley startups. So of course, Hyliion has recorded zero revenues. Its sole 1,000 order comes from a strategic partner, basically the Allegity Logistics Company, sorry about that, a company with $39 million investment for the EV startup. So that's interesting. It's basically saying that they only have one customer apparently, and that's of 1,000 shipments of the truck, for example, and that's interesting to see. So technically they have not made any revenue yet. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something to consider. So yes, we probably will see a lot more growth when the company actually starts making sales. So I would just want to put that one out there, and I completely agree with that one. Once sales do start to go through, I think that we'll be able to see a lot more revenue come in, because of course, money is actually coming into the business from sales itself, and that is a great thing to see for any business. Of course, if you're not directly making money from selling things as a sales business, you're not kind of fulfilling your whole business model, so it does kind of look a bit bad at the minute, especially with what happened with Nikola, and especially with the fact that was also in the trucking segment, so not really working out well there. So yeah, we have three bullish cases for Hyliion stock, and of course, if you want to read those, you can do that, but a few of these have kind of, I'm not saying that they have fully, but of course with what's happened this year, some of these have changed. And the main one that has changed, in my opinion, is the fact that it's entering a booming market. Now, yes, it is entering a booming market when it comes to, the eradication of petrol and diesel, but it is important to also note the economy of the whole world is kind of down at the minute, and of course that means that people don't necessarily have the money to buy things like new cars and trucks and whatnot. So it is important to note that and consider that. So maybe the economy is not the strongest at the minute, and maybe that should play into your decision to buy or not. So I would just want to put that one out there more than anything. So yeah, there is also a bear case here, which is, does the company actually have the claimed technology? Now, I'm not saying this in a Nikola sort of way, but it does say in the article, it is common practice for startups to exaggerate their claims. So for example, they could be saying that something's better than it is, and this could potentially be a red flag, as they don't necessarily have what is out yet. So very interesting to see. And of course, we have some bear cases down here, But yeah, I just wanted to talk about just a few of these bullish and bearish cases on Hyliion and just a whole analysis according to this article, because basically when I see an article like this, it really does kind of sum up what I'm trying to say in one video, in one whole article. So credit to investorplace.com. I think this article was very good. Now, I'm not saying take everything from this article as 100% science, because like I always say, one, is just an opinion, whether it's of me or of somebody else, and two, it's just a guide and things can change, especially at the minute. We've seen that a lot this year. Things really can change so quickly, you can't really just judge anything, as black or white anymore. But these are a few factors with Hyliion. Will the share price hit $10 or lower? Well, that it depends on a few factors in my opinion. I think it depends on whether they start to sell. I think it definitely depends on who gets in either tonight or tomorrow, whenever the results will be confirmed. And I think it's got a lot of things to do with what their policies are on electric vehicles. So yeah, also the economy strength would probably have a few factors on that and a few other things, which we'll talk about in a later update video. I just wanted to keep this one as short as possible and just give you a quick update. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000, and of course, if you want to come and join the Discord, it's completely free. Link is in the description. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next one. Goodbye.